Mesothelioma is cancer. It is a cancer of the mesothelial cells. That's why they call it mesothelioma. The cells, mesothelial cells, are located, they're on the membrane that line your lung, and they're on the membrane that line your abdomen or your stomach called the peritoneum. So if you have a cancer of the cells that line the membrane around your lung, the pleura, or the peritoneum, and that's of the mesothelial cells, you have mesothelioma. The medical literature is very clear. The only known cause of mesothelioma is exposure to asbestos. Asbestos is a mineral or a rock formation that is underground, and what happens is over time people figured they could use it for many purposes, so they take the rock out of the ground and they crush it, and what breaks down is asbestos fibers. So it's a mineral, and when you break it down it becomes fibrous. The risk to mesothelioma is something that's kind of hard for people to understand, because there's the obvious risk. The obvious risk are people who had a lot of exposure to asbestos. So people who are in the trades, who maintain power plants, who are insulators, pipe coverers, tradespeople. But unfortunately the risk doesn't stop there. Asbestos is so dangerous that it poses a risk to anybody that has had exposure. And because of that, we have seen mesothelioma in housewives, family members, engineers, people who themselves wouldn't think they had a lot of exposure, but unfortunately the risk was there and they've got mesothelioma. There's no exact time period that you'll know that mesothelioma will develop from exposure, but there is, in the medicine, it's well established that it takes a period of time for it to develop, and they call that latency. Latency is from the time of first exposure to when the disease presents itself. And when it comes to mesothelioma, minimum is about 20 years, but on average it's about 40 years. So that means some people would have had their first exposure 60 years before they ever develop mesothelioma, and some have had it as little as 20 years before they develop mesothelioma.